Hello everyone. I am Audrey. I am one of many students going live on the Ucla housing account. I'm waiting for people to roll in. Stevie's here.
Hello.
He's just doing homework, I think. Hello everyone. I'm just gonna start off with introducing myself. This whole thing, this is a series of Livestream Q&As from current students to help the class of 2024 figure out more about student life. We put a question sticker on the story yesterday, as seen on my iPad, and I'm gonna answer a lot of these questions that you guys have, and then you guys can also drop questions in the chat. We're gonna post this and all the other Livestream Q&As on our YouTube, so if you missed this or you missed the beginning, you can always check it out there. Okay, to start off, my name is Audrey. I'm a fourth year student at UCLA. I'm a cognitive science major, stats minor. I'm just gonna read my bio kind of. I'm from Long Beach. It's in LA County. It's 30 minutes away. When I lived on the Hill my freshman and sophomore year, I lived in Hitch. I'm on the Ucla Housing Media team. That is the team behind all the Ucla Housing social media platforms. I'm in the student committee for the arts, UCLA radio, and I'm a style assistant. And I've changed my major 8 times. So there are going to be a lot of questions about how to change your major, how to find the right major for you. So I wrote down all the questions, and then I'm going to answer the questions I got the most first, and then look at the questions in the chat. Hi, Zach. Zach's Q&A, he's a BusyCon major, is going to go up today or tomorrow on YouTube. So I'm going to answer housing specific questions I got. One of them is the best and worst experiences of living in Hitch, aka the suites. Hitch is a room, it's 2 rooms sharing a living room and a bathroom. I think the best part about living in a suite is the storage and the space that you have. You have a closet, you have your normal room, but then in the hallway with the bathroom you have a closet in there, and then in your living room you have another closet just to put stuff in. The living room is furnished, and you even get a dining table, so it's a good place to do work. The lounges are really nice. These are really new buildings, Saxon and Hitch, so the lounges are really pretty. It's really close to the study and Sunset Rack. The study is the dining hall that has customizable pizzas, sandwiches, salads, a kombucha bar, and Sunset Rack is where the pools are, where people go to sunbathe. There are tennis courts, outside volleyball courts. The cons with living at Hitch: it is at the top of the hill, so it's the farthest from campus, but not by much. Given the amenities, I'd say it's worth it. But if you're the type of person to wake up late and have 10 minutes to book it to class, it would you would have to wake up earlier to go to class by 10 minutes. And it's probably the least social living situation, because outside your room there is a whole living room before you are exposed to other rooms. But also I don't think it's that big of a deal, because personally I made most of my friends not from Hitch, or I know a lot of people made their friends not based off of where they lived freshman year. So you can keep all of that in mind. That's the rundown on what it's to live in Hitch. And then I got a lot of questions about changing majors. So the first one is it easy to switch majors? Yes, it's very easy. As long as you're within the College of Letters and Sciences, I know it's really easy. This constitutes basically all majors except for engineering school, the art and architecture school, the music school, nursing school, theater school. Those are very specialized majors, and you do have to apply into those if you want to change into those. But switching between the College of Letters and Sciences majors is really easy. I went from my majors, to list them, I was applied math, switched to math econ, switched to psychology, statistics, financial actuarial math, business econ, regular econ, and now like I'm cognitive science. And it's really easy to switch between them because like they all had very similar prerequisites, at least for math and stats. And then for psych and cog sci, when I like was debating to do those majors, I just happened to have already taken the prereqs because so my freshman year I like kind of took classes that I was just purely interested in, and they ended up being like prerequisites for my major now, which like I love. So like that's good advice I would give to a freshman or first year, is when choosing your classes, like yeah, choose classes for your major, but also just choose classes that sound fun, because they could also just inform you on making a decision. Someone said, how easy it is to declare minors or double majors? Can you have more than one minor? Yeah, you definitely can. You have to petition for it, but like they're not gonna tell you not to. Like as long as you're able to and like you're aware of like how much time it'll take you, the college will most likely like let you do any major or minor you want. Some majors and some minors you do have to apply for. Within the letters and sciences, the communications major, the business econ major, the human bio and society major, those three you have to apply into. And most minors you don't have to apply into. And it was easy, like I was gonna double major in cog sci and stats and minor and like get a specialization in computing. And I could have done all of that while graduating in 4 years. But I just chose not to because like I wanted my senior year to be more relaxed. But you definitely have time for it. And there wasn't much overlap between my majors. I just happened to start early and with both prereqs. Anyway, so someone said, should I be worried if I don't know what major I want to go into? I wouldn't be worried. Like, I didn't know until my junior year of college. Like, I was a math major up until my junior year when I became a cognitive science major. And I love it. And it's like I'm graduating on time. I still have a stats minor. And it's all great. Also, like, your major, I don't think I'm supposed to tell you this. UCLA doesn't want you to know this, but, like, your major does not matter that much. Like, employers aren't going to be like, oh, we only want math econ majors. Like, no, you can be a stats major and, like, apply for the same job. As long as they're generally similar in what, like, as long as you're interested in it, you're probably going to find a job that you like. Like, I have friends who, like, were math majors and they got, like, engineering jobs because you just have to be qualified. Also, like, the more classes you take, the more life experience you get, you kind of learn more about yourself and what you like. So I think, like, over the course of college, it'll become more and more clear. And yeah. Did I take a cluster course or Fiat Lux? I did not take a cluster because here's a tea. It's a lot of reading, and I don't like reading. I'm not supposed to say that, I'm pretty sure. But it is a lot of, like, the cluster course is supposed to satisfy a lot of GEs in one class, like, that lasts all your freshman year. But I also like balancing out my major classes, like my upper division classes that tend to be harder, with GEs that could be easier to get an A in, depending on how you choose it. So I would definitely do that. Also, there's a website called Brew and Walk where everyone puts reviews of professors and classes, and you can see which classes are like easy A's and low effort, but you still learn something valuable type classes. What career could you get with cognitive science, marketing focused? Well, cognitive science is very broad. It's multidisciplinary. I have friends going into software engineering, UX, UI. I'm going into marketing with this major because it's a lot about how, like, people perceive information and process it. So it's very, like, marketing. Like, marketing needs that. I want to work for a creative and marketing agency. Yeah. I wrote something down about here of, like, what I wanted to do. Yeah, I want to work for a marketing agency, work for brands, but a specific agency that, like, makes sure it's working for brands that are doing good in the world. Like, I don't want to be advertising Amazon or anything, you know? What's a deadline for declaring your major? No real deadline, as long as you graduate when you want to graduate by. Like, 4 years isn't even the deadline. I have friends who are 5th years, and that's fine. So someone said, so I was going to hold on, let me answer this. Did you take a Fiat Lux? I have not taken a Fiat Lux class, but I really wish I did. I had friends tell me about them. Like, one of them took a class on Beyonce, and like, it's not really academic heavy. It's just like an hour of discussion each week. So those are really cool. You just have to, like, it's like not required, so you do have to go out of your way to like enroll in one. Okay, someone asked, well, at one point I was going to transfer to Berkeley after my freshman year because they had like the perfect major for me, whatever. And someone asked why I didn't choose Berkeley. Well, so even before I started at UCLA, my last 2 colleges I was choosing between were UCLA and Berkeley. And why I chose UCLA was because I just heard a lot of personal anecdotes from my friends and like this, what the student life is like. They all told me that the academics were pretty much the same, and the main difference was student life and experience and what the environment was like. And they said that I wouldn't like it there. And like, they know me, and like my friends know me very well. They described it like, well, I don't want to paint Berkeley in a bad light, especially since I didn't actually go there. But like, I chose UCLA because it has like #1 dining. It's in LA, and I'm from LA, so I wanted to be closer to home. I like sunshine. I don't know. I also didn't want to go through the process of changing, like, transferring my college. But also the moral of the story is, like, just because, like, they had my perfect major, my friend said it wasn't worth changing my whole college experience just for a major. So there's that. Let me answer some of these questions. How many classes do you recommend taking each quarter? 3 to 4. I would definitely balance it out. Most people take 3 classes a quarter. I took 4 classes some quarters only because I was like changing my major so much, and like I took some classes I didn't end up needing, but like it wasn't that bad. The quarters I took 4 classes in, like 2 of them were like, I made sure that at least 2 of them were like easier classes. So it's all about balancing like the workload and the professor and how they run their class. Let me see. Okay, I'm answering these questions. What advice would you give an incoming student? 1, your major doesn't matter that much. 2, join clubs. That's where I met 95% of my friends. Yeah, 90, like, I would say 100%, but like I knew some people coming into college, so I can't count them. Join clubs. Those are like the 2. Like, if I can only give 2 pieces of advice, if I had to end the live right now, those are the 2 things I would say. Is it hard to get into a major that we are already pre-majored into? It's hard to get into a major I don't think there is a difference if like that's your pre-major. Technically, anyone can be a pre-major, even into the majors that you are applied, like you have to apply into. What that is important, like, one major that a lot of people apply into is communications. Whether you're pre-communications or just like regular another major, you both have to apply, and like it's a both circumstances for both of you. So that doesn't really matter. How many units would 3 to 4 classes be? That's like 12 to 20 to 19. The max is 19 units. It's definitely doable. You just gotta balance it out. Thoughts on CSI? Like this show? I really don't have any thoughts on that. I would need some elaboration. Who's the best person I should talk to about graduating early? I'm trying to think of the people doing lives. None of us are graduating early. Okay, the important part is like planning out when you're gonna take your classes, and like obviously don't change your major like 8 times. I like am barely making it to 4, like at the end of my 4 years. Most majors can graduate at least a quarter early. Stevie is a bio major, and he can graduate a quarter early. That's also because he took summer classes. But we'll have more info on that later. Thoughts on how do you balance out study time with extracurriculars and exercise? Oh my god, tip number 3. Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar so much. I could be a Google Calendar brand ambassador if that was a thing. I use it for everything. I even schedule out my workouts, so like I know not to plan anything for 4 p.m. on Monday or whatever. Put all my classes in, all my meetings. It's color coordinated too, so I know if I'm like spending too much time doing one thing. It's very intuitive too on how to use it, so I just suggest downloading it and getting started. Did being in a study group help, and how did you find them? It really depends on your study habits. I get distracted when I study with people, so I didn't really have study groups. It's nice to have someone in the class to ask questions with. This is a very freshman thing to do, but like whatever. When you're in class, you just like introduce yourself to the person next to you and be like, hey, can I have your number in case I have questions? And like, you don't have to be best friends, but you can help each other, and like we're all struggling. College Summer Institute. I think that's summer sessions. I did it. That's like taking classes over the summer. I did that for 2 summers and I like it. I also worked for media team over the summer, so that might change my experience. Did you get a college advisor? No. I mean, we have them, but like everything you need for your major is online, and that's pretty much like I just looked at that and used that. Oh my gosh. What mental health services are available, and are they any good? There's CAPS, this center. I don't know what it stands for. I know the P&S is psychological services, and that's included in your UC insurance. I don't really know much about it because I've never had to use their services, but I think UCLA does a really good job at like highlighting mental health and how we can improve it and balance everything to make sure our mental health doesn't suffer. There's like on our story yesterday for Meditation Monday, we mentioned the UCLA Rise Center, and they focus a lot on meditation and mindfulness and, like I said, a good balance of like your mental state. What do you think of the quarter system? Is it too fast-paced? It is very fast-paced, but I get bored easily, so I like 10 weeks per class, and like you get more variety in classes if you want to like learn more stuff. Did you have an on-campus job? Yes, I'm on media team, and this is an on-campus job, and I love it. I think a lot of the on-campus, like this is very manageable, like it's very flexible, but I think a lot of the on-campus jobs are as well, since it's very clear that you're a student. So yes. Oh my god, I'm going to take a break on that and then answer some questions that were in the chat, like that were in the question sticker and asked a lot. How do you get involved in clubs? The enormous activities fair. I think like every quarter, like a few times a year, all the clubs gather in like the central plaza, and I'm at 20%. And they all have booths with the different clubs, and that's a good way to find out clubs. Following them on social media. Most clubs have applications once a quarter or once a year. Excuse me. And they'll post about like when the application opens up, when it's due. And yeah, most of the clubs on campus have Instagrams, so I would look through that. And then Facebook too. I don't know if class of 2024 will be on Facebook like that, but let's see. People ask about like my specific clubs, and like I don't think a lot of people want to. I'm gonna just do like a couple sentences on each. I'm in the student committee for the arts at UCLA, and that's an arts programming group. We're given like money from, I'm not even entirely sure where, and we can plan events all over campus. We have an annual concert every year where we've programmed like Doja Cat and the Marias and Portugal the Man. It's like really fun. I met a lot of my friends through there. I'm the marketing director for that right now. I was the director last year, so there's bias. I'm in UCLA Radio, which is a college, like a student-run college radio station. Everyone can have their own show. We throw house shows. We go on trips in Joshua Tree, and you meet a lot of cool people through that, like mutual interest. And then on media team, we have applications in the spring. We run the UCLA Housing social media platforms. And then lastly, I'm a style assistant. So this is in my bio. I styled an Alicia Keys music video, and then I assisted with Smoke Perp's music video, and then a Nike and Nordstrom campaign. And I actually got this through my major, because my major has an internship component where we have to have an internship for course credit. And I just applied to work with this photographer and style assistant for marketing, and then it just turned into a styling internship. Don't tell the cog sci department that. But yeah, I just applied for things, and there's UCLA has a career center that's online, and it's like LinkedIn but for UCLA students, and companies post job listings there, so it's really easy to find jobs there. Okay, I'm gonna take these questions now. How do AP credits work? So most APs work satisfy GE requirements. I like the intro ones. AP Calc, if you get a 4 or a 5, I'm pretty sure. AP Calc covers the quantitative reasoning one, AP US History, or AP Euro, or AP World History. If you get a 4 or 5 on that, that's one of the requirements. So those are the two main ones, and then the language requirement. If you got a 5 on an AP language, you're done with the language requirement here. If you get a 4, I'm pretty sure you only have to take one more here. So yeah, the UC accepts a lot. Any tips on paying for tuition? Out-of-state tuition specifically? Unfortunately not, because I'm in-state for one, and I'm very fortunate to have my parents pay for my tuition, so I wish I could give more advice, but I can't. I know Irvin, he is going on Saturday, can help you. We have had discussions about financial aid before, so I know he has experience with that. What resources do they offer for first-generation college students? Sophie, who is going live on next Monday, is a first-gen student, and she can answer questions about that. Is getting into the media team competitive? I really want to apply when you guys have openings. It's really hard to say, especially with everything going on. I don't know what our hiring's gonna be like, how many spots we're gonna have, because we also don't have many. I don't know if people are leaving and how many spots we're trying to fill, but apply anyway. You never know until you try. When are you graduating? I'm graduating after this quarter. I'm a cog sci major, and what are my plans after graduating? Getting a job, hopefully. Who knows, in this economic crisis. Oh my god, someone knocked on the door. Hold on.
You good?
Okay. How much time commitment is each club, roughly? And it's as much time as you want, honestly. You're not bound to a club. Most of them are you get what you put into it. It could be an hour a week for meetings, and then an extra hour for whatever work the club needs you to do. To when I was director of SCA, it was 10 hours a week, but also I held a position. I wasn't just a member. Although that's perfectly fine. Have people you know started clubs at UCLA? Yes, Irvin. He is going he's going live on Saturday. He founded his own theater production company called Colorbox. So he has a lot of information about that. Melinda says apply for the honors college. They have lots of scholarship opportunities. If I want to switch my major from what I was admitted for, do I need to switch now? No, you can switch at orientation. You can switch at any point during your college career. It's just a simple form. You like submit for petition, but like they're gonna approve you anyway, most likely. What meal plan do you recommend? I would recommend, so given that you guys understand what the different meal plans are, most people have 14p, and that means 14 swipes a week, and you can swipe however many times you want. The other option, as opposed to P, is R, where you can only swipe once per meal period. So 14p and 19p. 19p is 19 swipes a week. Most people get 14p, and that's more than enough for them. But I got 19p because per quarter the price difference was $100, which is like a good amount of money. But for $100 you get 55 more swipes, and our dining options are really good. Like there's a kombucha bar, a gelato bar. Like sometimes I just wanted to swipe 3 times in one meal period and like not have to worry about running out. And also like if my parents came and visited and wanted to eat, I could swipe them in. So that's just nice to have the option. But 14p is what like a majority of students have. Someone asked, do I need a printer in the dorms? No. I would, like, if you have one, yeah, for sure, bring it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to, like, buy a printer and bring it, especially if you have limited space in your room. There are printers all over campus, and it's, 5 cents a page or something, minuscule like that, and, most things, you don't have to print most things. Like, if you have readings, they'll be PDFs, and I print maybe, one thing per quarter. Granted, I'm, a STEM major, and I don't print, papers and whatnot every quarter, but that's just my 2 cents. Should students bring bikes to campus? You can. Most people don't. We have a lot of hills here. And the thing about bikes is that, you have to bike uphill half the time, which some can argue it's easier than walking, but most people just walk. I do have a good amount of friends who bike to, get around camp. It can turn a 15-minute walk into a 5-minute bike ride. So if you like biking like that, go for it.
Electric scooter.
There are bird scooters around campus. Oh, also there's, a bike share program at UCLA called the UCLA Bike Share. And it's, the city bikes in New York where you can just check it out, bike to where you need to be, and then there's, a checkout place around campus. If you run out of swipes for dining, can you pay in cash or debit? You can buy, you have to, load money onto your Bruin card and use that to pay. But, most people don't run out of swipes. Have your friends swipe you in. They probably got plenty. Do you like taking notes on your laptop / on paper? If it's, lecture notes, I like taking notes on my laptop. But for, my math classes where you have to write symbols that you can't really type, I use my iPad and my Apple Pencil. Sorry, that's just a thing I do. But yeah, I like taking notes on this just to save the environment, not have to use a bunch of paper. It's easier to organize for me. How is your dorm assigned? So after you submit your housing application, after everyone submits their housing applications, people are given a random number. So it's not first come, first serve. Even if you're the first person to submit it, you might get number 500. I don't know. Everyone's given a random number, and on your housing application, you put your room preferences, and you are assigned your room in the order of the numbers based on first available preference. So if you're number 1, whatever your preference 1 is, you'll get it. If you're number 1000 and your third preference is available, you'll be assigned that. I hope that makes sense. How hard is it actually to apply for parking? That's usually transportation, not usually housing, but it's pretty limited. I wouldn't bank on getting a parking pass. A lot of people in the apartments get or assign parking, like off-campus apartments get parking with their apartments, but like don't have cars. So they'll sell their spots a lot on Facebook. Would you recommend bringing a car? If you can, yeah. Like I don't have a car on campus now, and I Uber a lot. And if you have a car, yeah, bring it, but Uber's also. Like if you're not going to use it every day, so don't go out of your way, but if you have it, sure. Can the meal plan get covered by financial aid? Yes, it's part of your housing bill. How hard is it to get the classes you want? It's not the worst. I think it definitely varies by major, because some of them are very impacted. Like, I know the political science major, there's so many people in that major. Classes, like my roommate freshman year was poli-sci, and she didn't get a poli-sci class all year. But you're also assigned random times to sign up for housing. So it really varies. Someone said, when are you graduating? I'm graduating at the end of this quarter, cog-sci major, and I plan to get a job after I graduate. Would you get the same number as people you intend to room with? So everyone is assigned their own number, and if you're in a roommate group, whoever in your roommate group gets like the earliest number, your whole group will go with them. On that note, you can also choose roommates after you submit the housing application and after your room is assigned to you. The only thing is that the roommates you choose will have to be assigned in the same building and room type as you. So if you're assigned Reber Vista, a triple in Reber Vista, you have to look for other people in Reber Vista looking for roommates. That's the only caveat. Can you explain, in your opinion, of the different residential housing? I liked Hitch. I really like the suites. I would say in my personal opinion, I don't like having to walk to the bathroom, so I don't like communal bathrooms. So I would like private or shared. In the plazas with private bathrooms, the bathroom takes up a lot of the room. Like, there are plaza privates and plaza shared, technically the same size with different bathrooms, but the plaza shared has much more room because the bathroom doesn't take out as much of a chunk in the room. So I would say, like, number one, I like plaza shareds, and then suites, and then plaza privates, and then deluxes because they have AC, but they have communal bathrooms, and then classics. Just because I'm picky and I like AC. But that's just me. Why are you majoring in political science? I'm unfortunately not, but Sophie is going live on Monday, and she majors in political science, so you can ask her questions about that. So your roommates and you will all get to stay together even if you don't get your first choice housing, but they do, or vice versa. Yeah. We prioritize roommate groups. Like, if you guys have different preferences, we're not going to put you in your top preferences. Like, we put you guys together. Wait, so what are you majoring in? I'm majoring in cognitive science with a minor in statistics. So yeah. Someone in the question sticker asked what the stats minor was like, and it's a lot of work. It's only like 3 classes away from the major. So if you have the time and you really like stats, like I would just do the stats major over the stats minor. Much. And I found that out after I was done with the minor, so I'm stuck with it. Would you recommend private bathrooms or communal bathrooms? For my personal preference, I like private bathrooms. The price difference is substantial though between the 2 bathroom types, so I would look into that. How the music course? Gigi, she's in the chat right now. She's a musicology major, so let me look for her at. She's at Gigi GIGIECC. DM her. Well, actually, I don't know. Ask her if you can ask her questions first, but she's a musicology major. I have friends who are music performance majors. They say it's a lot of music playing, like they're in a lot of ensembles, and a lot of sight reading, but they enjoy it because they're performance majors. Would you recommend going random or finding a roommate on Facebook beforehand? I would recommend finding a roommate on Facebook beforehand, because even if you don't find anyone you want to be best friends with, at least you can like better customize or better tailor a roommate to your preferences. Like you can find someone who at least has, like, you can like get more in depth, like find more about them, so you like know more, that you know better that you guys can live together. Because I think the important thing is not that you guys can be best friends, but that you guys can like live together and not drive each other crazy. So like cleanliness level, what time they go to sleep, their social habits, like make sure you guys are like on the same page on like most of the things that involve living in the same room. Do you recommend the freshman cluster program? I wouldn't, only because I like balancing out my major classes with GEs, and the cluster program just like gets you done with so many GEs that you can't really justify taking those classes later on. Do you know anything about a geography minor? No, I'm sorry. How are the English classes? I haven't taken any, but we could have a student go live later on, like next week, if you guys are really interested in hearing from them. But I know a lot of English majors, they really like their classes. Is it possible to switch your major before the school year begins? Yeah. During orientation, you can switch it. Yeah, so. Is it fun living in the dorms? Yeah, I'd say it's really fun, because like the food is so good. All of your friends are in like one place. Even if they live in a different building, they're like 0.1 miles away from you. Like, it's just so fun. What are good ways to find a roommate? In the UCLA Class of 2024 Facebook page, I know a lot of people post bios about themselves and like what they're like to live with. Do you have to find your roommates before you submit your housing application? You don't have to. It would be the most ideal, because after you submit your application, the roommate you find would have to be the same assigned building and room type as you. So, there's that. How do you choose the right classes for your major? Online. All the majors, like, and their requirements are online on the website. So at orientation, they should explain this to you, so you know like how to plan it out. What are the GE courses you have to take? So they're in varying fields. There's physical sciences, life sciences, social sciences, historical analysis, literary analysis, visual and performing arts, diversity requirement, writing 2, linguistic and philosophical analysis. And those are like very big words that like it's hard to understand, but these are also listed on there's this thing called DARS, Degree Audit Report System, on my UCLA, and you can see what classes you need until you graduate. And they even list, for under each GE, they list like what classes can satisfy that requirement. Orientation will explain this to you. Speaking of orientation, they usually occur over the summer, but we'll have to see about that. I don't have any updates on that. But yes. How do people go off campus on the weekends as freshmen to explore LA if they don't have cars? So the most convenient would be Ubering and Lyfting. The most cost efficient would be taking the bus. Although we don't have like the best public transportation system to the standards of like Chicago and New York, we do have a pretty good bus system that goes all throughout LA. UCLA even has a bus every Saturday that goes straight to and from the Santa Monica Pier for free. And they have buses that go all around LA. The metro, like, you can Uber to the metro station, and that will take you straight to downtown LA, for example. It's really manageable. Where do transfer students usually live? They usually live in Holly. That is a deluxe communal building in Deneuve. Do you know how the Cog-Sci minor is, or if Cog-Sci and neuroscience line up enough to double major? Yes. I haven't looked into the neuroscience major, but I know that there's a psychobio major that is very similar to neuroscience. I know a lot of friends who transferred from neuroscience to psychobio, and that's in the same department as cognitive science. So you could double major in cognitive science and psychobio, and that would be like more manageable. Or you could minor in cognitive science. The minor was like really manageable too. Can you switch majors from different colleges? Let's say gender studies to engineering in orientation week. You have to apply into the engineering school, so I think that's a much longer process. At orientation week, I think like they have counselors who can just like change your major on the spot within the College of Letters and Sciences, but not really between colleges. Do you recommend living in a living learning community? If you have one that you're really interested in, I'm sure it would be like a great experience. Irvin is going live on Saturday. He lived in a visual and performing arts living learning community, and he could give more insight on that. Command said Command loves you. This is Command, by the way. It's supposed to be reflected, but I'm on front camera, so whatever. What jobs can you get with the Cog-Sci and Stats minor? What is Cog-Sci? Cog-Sci is cognitive science. It's a major within the psychology department. It focuses on perception and the psychology behind that and how people process information. You could get jobs in software engineering, user interface, user design, user experience, and marketing. Like, I took the more like people-oriented route, so I'm going to do marketing. Do you know how the honors college works? Would you recommend applying for it? I don't really know how it works. I've looked into it, but decided against it. If that gives any insight, I made the decision freshman year. But we could have someone who's in honors answer questions later on in the week. What have you heard about the biophysics major? Not much. We'll find students to answer questions about that later. Is it very cramped to be in a classic triple, or is it manageable? I think it's very manageable. Well, I wouldn't say very. It's manageable. A good advice would be like, if you think you might not use something, you most likely will not use it. So if like you're on the fence of bringing something with you to college, just don't bring it. Because like you probably won't use it. What's the difference between the cognitive science and psychology majors? The cognitive science is a Bachelor of Science. The psychology major is a Bachelor of Arts. The cognitive science, like the main thing about the actual course requirements is Cog-Sci has a lot of programming classes. So this is like C++, Java, Python, MATLAB. So like a lot of technical aspects of the department. And I think it's more interdisciplinary, so you could do a lot more with it. If the dorms vary in price, how do you know which dorm is covered by financial aid? I think they should all be covered by financial aid. I think it might depend on like how much financial aid you get, but I'm not really sure. How long is the walk from the hill to campus? I would say 15 to 25 minutes, depending on where you live on the hill and how fast you walk. I lived in Hitch, which was the farthest building from campus. But if I wake up 30 minutes before my class, I don't really have a choice but to be fast. So I would book it to my class, and it would take me 15 minutes. Granted, I would be very sweaty by the time I got to class, but you do what you gotta do. Also, some parts, like, obviously some parts of campus are farther. Like, the theater school is theater and film school is far. The art and design building's far. Engineering's not far. Nursing's far. Dodd is far. Oh my god. That's the art history building, I think. How are you paying for college? Does taking more classes cost more? My parents are helping me out with college, and the more classes, and I'm pretty sure it's a flat rate for tuition in terms of how many classes you take. If there is a difference, I think the difference is negligible. So yeah. Do you know anything about the education and social transformation major? Unfortunately not. Do you know anything about the public affairs major? No. But I'm pretty sure these academic departments for their different majors will have information for you guys to learn more about it in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Is Psych 100 be really that hard? No, it's really manageable. It's not that hard. It is, it's like more work than average, but it's not hard per se. What have you heard of people in computer science and business economics major? Like, individually? Computer science, I don't know many people in that major. Business economics, Zach, he did a live 2 days ago, and he's a biz econ major, and his live stream is being posted to YouTube as I speak. So, is it normal to use a skateboard to go to class? Yeah, a lot of people skateboard because it's like, it's fast to go downhill with them, and like it's easy to carry them and walk uphill, as opposed to a bike, because bikes are like obviously much heavier. What have you heard about the physics department? I have friends who are physics and astrophysics majors. They like it. I think it's really similar to the math department. So the math department, because like they're both like math physics departments in a research university. The thing about the math department was that it was very research. Like we go to this is a research university, so a lot of what we're taught is like theory and proof based. We're taught by professors who are also researchers. I don't know much about the physics major to say anything about it. For the math, it was very theory and proof based. Like, I didn't really enjoy it because I like application based studies, so. Do all freshmen live on the same floors? No. It's really, you're scattered with second and some third years. Randall says, hi, Audrey. Hi, Randall. Do you know how the honors college works? Would you recommend applying for it? I don't really know how it works. I've looked into it, but decided against it. If that gives any insight, I made the decision freshman year. But we could have someone who's in honors answer questions later on in the week. What have you heard about the biophysics major? Not much. We'll find students to answer questions about that later. Is it very cramped to be in a classic triple, or is it manageable? I think it's very manageable. Well, I wouldn't say very. It's manageable. A good advice would be if you think you might not use something, you most likely will not use it. So if you're on the fence of bringing something with you to college, just don't bring it. Because you probably won't use it. What's the difference between the cognitive science and psychology majors? The cognitive science is a Bachelor of Science. The psychology major is a Bachelor of Arts. The cognitive science, the main thing about the actual course requirements is Cog-Sci has a lot of programming classes. So this is C++, Java, Python, MATLAB. So a lot of technical aspects of the department. And I think it's more interdisciplinary, so you can do a lot more with it. If the dorms vary in price, how do you know which dorm is covered by financial aid? I think they should all be covered by financial aid. I think it might depend on like how much financial aid you get, but I'm not really sure. How long is the walk from the hill to campus? I would say 15 to 25 minutes, depending on where you live on the hill and how fast you walk. I lived in Hitch, which was the farthest building from campus. But if I wake up 30 minutes before my class, I don't really have a choice but to be fast. So I would book it to my class, and it would take me 15 minutes. Granted, I would be very sweaty by the time I got to class, but you do what you gotta do. Also, some parts, like obviously some parts of campus are farther. Like the theater school is theater and film school is far. The art and design building's far. Engineering's not far. Nursing's far. Dodd is far. Oh my god. That's the art history building, I think. How are you paying for college? Does taking more classes cost more? My parents are helping me out with college, and the more classes, and I'm pretty sure it's a flat rate for tuition in terms of how many classes you take. If there is a difference, I think the difference is negligible. So yeah. Do you know anything about the education and social transformation major? Unfortunately not. Do you know anything about the public affairs major? No. But I'm pretty sure these academic departments for their different majors will have information for you guys to learn more about it in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Is Psych 100 really that hard? No, it's really manageable. It's not that hard. It is, it's like more work than average, but it's not hard per se. What have you heard of people in computer science and business economics major? Like, individually? Computer science, I don't know many people in that major. Business economics, Zach, he did a live 2 days ago, and he's a biz econ major, and his live stream is being posted to YouTube as I speak. So, is it normal to use a skateboard to go to class? Yeah, a lot of people skateboard because it's like it's fast to go downhill with them, and like it's easy to carry them and walk uphill, as opposed to a bike, because bikes are like obviously much heavier. What have you heard about the physics department? I have friends who are physics and astrophysics majors. They like it. I think it's really similar to the math department. So the math department, because like they're both like math physics departments in a research university. The thing about the math department was that it was very research. Like we go to this is a research university, so a lot of what we're taught is like theory and proof based. We're taught by professors who are also researchers. I don't know much about the physics major to say anything about it. For the math, it was very theory and proof based. Like I didn't really enjoy it because I like application based studies. So, do all freshmen live on the same floors? No, it's really you're scattered with like second and some third years. Randall says hi, Audrey. Hi, Randall. Can you talk about your interesting fact about you thinking of transferring? Did you get into UCLA after high school or transfer from community college? No, I entered UCLA as a first year, but after my first year, I was considering transferring to UC Berkeley. Just because they had like a major that UCLA didn't have, but I decided against it. This will be my 4th year at UCLA. How bad is the curve in the science classes? Do a lot of hardworking students struggle to get an above 3.5 GPA? The curves aren't bad. If anything, they help you. Like, I've straight up gotten like a 50% on a test, but with the curve that amounted to a B+, I'll take it. The curve will never really hurt you. It also varies by department and by professor, since the professors are in charge of their curves. I know the math department had this suggestion that only 25% of the class can get A's. And professors can choose whether or not they decide to do that. I think I'm ending my college career with a 3.6. And it was like, yeah, it was hard at times, but I still had fun. So it's manageable, to say the least. How hard are the STEM classes? It depends on the department. I can't really speak. So Stevie is going live on Thursday. He's a bio major and he can talk about the bio STEM classes, so like the life science classes. So he's in physics right now. He took chem and bio. And my STEM classes were in the math department, so that's like the physical sciences. So that's like the Math 30 series. And I liked it. I mean, that I don't know if that's saying much since I was a math major, but they're not terrible. If I got accepted to UCLA as a freshman after high school, should I go to UCLA after high school as a freshman or go to community college to do my general education lower division major classes? I think there are pros to both. I really value my UCLA experience, like all 4 years. I would do it again if I could. And I think although you'd be learning, like academically, if you did your first 2 years at community college and your first 2 years here, like the GEs, it'd be the same value on paper. But I do think there's a lot more to there's a lot more you learn in college than just the classes. Like, I've learned so much about myself, about like what I want to do in the future. During my first 2 years of here at UCLA, like I joined the clubs. I was super passionate about. I started working in a media team, figured out I wanted to do marketing by working in a media team. So it's really like a balance. How are the programming classes? I really like them. At one point I was going to be a computer science major, but I couldn't handle more major changes, and that would have been like a huge one. I think they're fun. We have good professors in the program. Yeah, and a really good skill to have, especially since a lot of our future is digital. There are specializations in computing that you can get in different departments. The math department has it, the communications department has it, the psych department has it. And so like you just take a few extra classes and it'll be like cognitive science with a specialization in computing. I almost did that specialization. I'm literally like one class off. But since my stats minor, like, it's given me enough like technical skill on paper, I didn't feel the need to add the specialization. What were my old majors? They're in the math department. They were department is big hard, Stevie. Oh my gosh. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My phone's at 1% and now we're back. We're charging. How many classes do you take a year? 3 to 4 classes a quarter. Most people take 3 classes a quarter, so that'd be 9 classes a year. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Would you say some classes in UCLA have more of a philosophical or critical theory-based approach? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. In the STEM field, at least, no. At least the majors I've had. No. What meal plan do you recommend for freshmen? Prices and like consider how much you eat to help you decide. How difficult is it to get into a cluster class, and is it worth enrolling in? It's not difficult at all, I think. I didn't take one, but I haven't heard of anyone who said like, oh, I wanted to take a cluster but couldn't. Is it worth enrolling in? It's very efficient in getting your GEs out of the way. your freshman year, but I think it's valuable to keep your GEs, space them out throughout the year to balance them with your major, like your harder classes. Can transfer majors change majors after getting to UCLA? I don't think so. My cousin transferred here to UCLA, and the major you apply into is the major you get. Because I remember she wanted to be a psychology major, but that's very hard to apply into, so she just came in as a sociology major. So it might have been specific to the psychology department, but she wasn't able to transfer into psychology. Is it better to come as a transfer with the major or change before coming but might get admission taken away? Yeah, that's one thing. Like, some majors are harder to apply into, and since you can't change when you're a transfer, that's something to consider. If you get credit for AP classes you took earlier in high school, do you know if people usually have a problem remembering the info now that they've skipped a course and might struggle at a high-level class? The AP credits, depends on the class. The only class I can think of that would require knowledge from previous classes are STEM classes, but I didn't have a problem with that. I took calc my junior and senior year, like A, B, and BC, and the knowledge was perfectly fine my freshman year here. I don't know. One thing to know is, like, for those classes, textbook that will help you refresh your memory. How diverse would you say UCLA is? This is hard to say because I came from a very diverse high school. Like, I'm from Long Beach, and it's very, very diverse there. I would say UCLA is less diverse than my high school, but there are a lot of clubs focused on, well, like, there are a lot of, like, you'll find your community for your different race or ethnicity. Like, for example, for Reber Hall, this is actually Reber Hall right here. On the 4th floor, they have a living learning community called the African Diaspora. And I have a lot of friends who lived on that floor and really enjoyed it there. There's a Black community center that just opened in Reber Hall right there. I know that there's a Chicon X floor. There are, like, cultural clubs on campus, like, so many of them. So, like, since it's such a big campus, I think that you'll find your place, like, where, like, you'll find enough people to relate to. Okay. Do you have all 4 years to complete your GEs? Yes, I literally took 2 GEs last quarter. Are teachers, for the most part, understanding of academic accommodations like extra time and distraction-free testing environments? Is it difficult transferring high school accommodations to UCLA? No, we actually have a place called the Center for Accessible Education. So if you have a special need that requires you to have a distraction-free testing zone or extra testing time, they will accommodate that. I have a friend who would take our midterms and finals in a different room and have, like, 30 minutes extra, I want to say, but they definitely accommodate you. Excuse me. Would it be hard to change my major from Biz Econ to Psych? I'm not a transfer my first year. No, that'd be very, very easy. You don't have to apply into Psych, but you do have to apply into Biz Econ, so keep that in mind. Do out-of-state community college classes transfer to my first year at UCLA? They should. I really don't know. There's a website called, I don't know the name, but if you Google, if you Google, like, college, like, UCLA community college credits, there was a website that I used before that, like, let me know if a class I was taking was previously approved by UCLA for a GE. I have 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Like, there's a timer at the top of my screen until this is done. So I'm going to, like, try to answer the most general questions that are in the chat right now. Is it generally frowned upon to graduate in more than 4 years, or is it normal? No one really, I don't think it's generally frowned upon. you do you. Like, you're not walking around like, oh, I'm a fifth year. Like, most of my friends are in different grades, so like what grade you're in isn't as important as it may seem, like if you're in high school or something. How hard is it to find internships? Is it harder because there are so many students? No, I think since we're in LA, there are a lot of internship opportunities to apply to, more than, I wouldn't say more than there are applicants, of course not, but it's not like hyper competitive. How hard is it to find an on-campus job? There are a lot of on-campus jobs because like there are so many facilities on campus. So I don't think that's too hard. Maybe like if you start earlier in the year before